that we would cancel the public hearing scheduled for tomorrow night. And that's been done in the advertisement paper today. And that if the supervisors chose to proceed with the development of the zoning ordinance and zoning map, and if they chose to proceed with doing this via a planning committee, they would create such an entity or planning agency by ordinance. That was the effect of the stipulation. After I went back to my office, I got a call from the Observer reporter. They kept me on the phone for probably a half hour. We were on the record, off the record, on the record, off the record. And I made a statement that showed up in the newspaper that the Planning Commission had a hard time making a quorum at its meetings. That was an improper statement on my behalf, and I apologize to the Planning Commission members. He asked me, why did the supervisors choose to utilize a planning committee as the planning agency for this? And I gave him what I thought was the reason. I was under the impression there were 5 members on the Planning Commission. We have since learned there was an ordinance passed in the late 1990s saying it was a 7-member Planning Commission. At about the time this board voted to proceed with the study and development of a zoning map and zoning ordinance, Mr. Stout, the supervisor, who was the representative of the supervisors on the Planning Commission, resigned, taking us down to 4. So my assumption was, well, maybe we haven't filled all 7 positions, because I don't go to the Planning Commission meetings, so I have not advised them, I haven't gone to any of the meetings, so I wasn't certain how regularly you meet, I wasn't certain if you were able to meet a quorum, and I said, because I think there are 7 members and we only have 4, the supervisors, one of their concerns may be the Planning Commission cannot get a quorum together to do the job. That was an improper statement on my behalf. No one on this board told me that. That was an assumption I made just from what I heard or what I saw or what I thought I saw. So I do apologize for that. Jerry's worker was quick to correct me that we do our job, we show up, we always have a quorum, and she wanted a definite retraction. I'm giving it, I apologize. That was a sloppy statement on my part, but you don't see the background of the question in the article. I notice on the agenda, there's an item where the Planning Commission would like to be identified as the planning agency for purpose of developing the zoning ordinance and zoning map and making recommendations to the Board of Supervisors. I would like to refine the motion, if I may, and then you can open up for discussion. I believe the motion should say motion to approve or deny the sending of the zoning map, development of zoning map and zoning ordinance to the Township Planning Commission, which serves as the planning agency for the township as defined by Section 201 of the Municipalities Planning Code, for formal review and recommendations of the zoning map and zoning ordinance to the Board of Supervisors in conjunction with working with the township's planning consultant, which duties are described in Section 607 of the Municipalities Planning Code. That would be the motion if you choose to designate that function to the Planning Commission as you move forward.
Second.
Dave?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Solicitor report.
Could you define a little bit that process as part of the report? What course that project will take to?
Right, in developing the zoning ordinance and map. In developing the zoning ordinance and zoning map, we're required to follow Section 607 of the Municipalities Planning Code. So that becomes the basis for the functioning of the Planning Commission. It will be their duty to schedule one public hearing pursuant to public notice. Public notice basically is notice 2 consecutive weeks before you hold the hearing. And we'll work with the Planning Commission on setting up that date and the notice. At that time, they will take recommendations, consider letters that have been submitted by various groups or corporations, hear from the planning consultant based upon questionnaires that she has circulated, and come up with a recommendation for a zoning map for the township as well as a zoning ordinance. 607 requires that the Planning Commission hold at least one public meeting, as I indicated, and my recommendation is that we have a stenographer at that meeting, and that any information that's submitted be done in the form of exhibits so a record is created, and also to incorporate the steps taken by the Township Planning Commission thus far, because a lot of information has been accumulated by her on behalf of the township, as I indicated. The public notice requires advertising for 2 consecutive weeks, not more than 30 days, not less than 7 days prior to said hearing. So those are the parameters of notice that you have to comply with. After that hearing, the Planning Commission will present its report, make recommendations and explanations to the Board of Supervisors. My recommendation is to be done at a regular meeting following the Planning Commission's public meeting or public hearing. It also needs to be presented once again to the Washington County Planning Commission at least 45 days before the Board of Supervisors hold their public hearing. Once the public hearing is held, you then have 90 days following that public hearing in which to reach a decision on whether or not you accept the zoning map and the zoning ordinance that's been prepared and submitted. So those are the steps. Now, I'll absolutely work with you on that. You get the guidance and, that you need. I've given you my report. I don't have anything to add except that I do want to read a letter that I've submitted to the supervisors into the record. You don't have to take this down because the letter can be in the record. But it addresses a public statement made by Kathleen Croft at the August meeting of the Board of Supervisors concerning sweat law invoices. This letter is addressed to the Board of Supervisors of Donegal Township. Dear Supervisors, I'm writing this letter to respond to public statements made by Kathleen Croft at last night's meeting regarding my legal invoices to Donegal Township from May 2015 through June 2016. Her inference that I billed the township for phantom time is totally false. Number one, Mrs. Croft read from her summary of my bills and identified the time in which our public meetings began and ended, and compared that time against the time I actually billed for that date. What Mrs. Croft failed to understand is that I meet with the township supervisors at their request, along with the zoning officer, the police chief, and the secretary, a half hour before the meetings to review agenda items, give reports, answer legal questions. In addition, there have been a number of times where I stayed after the meeting was adjourned, once again to give legal advice on township issues. If you add the half hour or 45 minutes to each of the time entries, should identify the time is correct. I do not bill for driving to the meetings from Washington and back. In one of the invoices, I made reference to the half-hour meeting that precedes the public meeting as an executive session. This was an improper characterization of our meeting, which was strictly an attorney-client meeting, as I indicated above. Number three, she made reference to my March 8 billing, and specifically the February 29 entry regarding Tammy Imes. I reviewed the letters submitted by Tammy Imes and then called Tammy Malson, our township secretary, to review what needed to be done. I think this was the instance where she resigned as an auditor. The bill for the telephone conversation says Tammy I. It was our secretary, Tammy, that was noted in that entry. We changed our billing system in June of 2016. Based on the new billing system, the attorney timekeepers insert their own time entries. We received a number of tax bills for the firm during the first part of June from the various townships we represent. Attorney Creedy handles these tax appeals, and inadvertently entered an entry on June 20 for Deterra LLC, which is a Smith Township charge and not a Donegal Township charge. I apologize for this mistake, and I enclosed my check of $43.35 made payable to Donegal Township as a refund for this improperly identified time entry. She also made reference to a June 13 meeting that I billed the township for 3 hours. Her statement is that I did not attend the meeting. This is totally false. Once again, if you add the pre- and post-meeting time I spent with the supervisors or staff, it totals 3 hours. I would also like to point out that I routinely mark down the hours spent by myself and staff on township matters. I don't think I've ever done a bill where I didn't reduce a bill by anywhere from 1 to 3 hours of attorney and or staff time. I also know there are a number of occasions when we take phone calls and don't detail our time. I would like this letter to be made part of the minutes of the upcoming September meeting and make this letter available to the public. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions. That's my response.
Anything else?
No.
Just what I appreciate you taking the time to set up, I don't bill us for that.
But they receive no charge.
Well, Mrs. Croft likes to research bills, maybe she, and people do, maybe she could research this. One of the items that Mrs. Croft had requested in her right to know action was a letter from our solicitor, Mr. Dennis Maple, who's now our solicitor. But she requested this letter, and I think we handed this over to her, didn't we? I think it was one they wanted. Yeah, and it dated February 8th, 2012. And I want to say we paid for this or someone else paid for it, because it's signed by Mr. Dennis Maple, Esquire, solicitor for Davidson Borough. I was going to, Mr. Furman, can you look it up for us to see if we paid for that or Davidson Borough paid for it? So it's obviously the solicitor can make a mistake.
Sure, 125 an hour.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Maybe you should review Mr. Maple's bill here or at the Guthrie School District.
Oh, I'd be happy to, because I guarantee all of our bills
Sir.
from the start to the end. You asked me, only bill from the start to the end of the meeting in all 22 of our municipalities, and don't bill for phone calls.
Well, if I recall the number correctly, one year when Mr. Maple was the solicitor of the school district, solicitor's bill was over $100,000.
For the school district?
Yes, sir.
That was probably related to numerous litigations with the school district.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
John, got anything?
Everybody hear me all right? Sure. All right, not much. For August 2016, our department responded to 222 calls for service. We investigated 24 UCR reportable crimes in that month. Of those 24, 19 investigations were closed, 5 are still open. Officers made 18 criminal arrests, which is pretty good for us, a department our size. We'll see how they do in court. Officers conducted 48 traffic stops, issued 14 traffic citations. We also issued 2 non-traffic citations unrelated to the stops. We investigated 1 traffic accident. We patrolled approximately 5,691 miles and used approximately 352 gallons of gas. Really, that's about all. I've attached copies of Claysville and Buffalo's report as always, and there's really nothing else. Thank you.
Water and sewage.
We do have a.
Oh, yeah. Motion to cancel the additional life insurance policy on police. Since they are covered through the state under Act 51.
So moved.
Second.
Bailey?
Yes.
Pettigrew?
Yes.
Savage?
Yes. Water and sewage.
This month, I know that I talked with Tom Bibby, and he said that we had a flow of some type, sewer plant malfunctioned and would need to be replaced, and the cost was a little over $3,000. And he said funds were available to make the replacement. It's the only report we have.
Road Department.
Your turn, Buck.
Good morning, road, grading road, work on equipment. Moving on.
Things going along good?
I never thought we'd find anybody to mow roads as good or better than Igor Kelly, but we have found him.
There we go. And not using a Ferguson tractor.
Josh Crusher, he does an excellent job.
Good.
We need to buy him a new mower next year.
Think it in the budget. What kind of a mower do we need?
Well, side mower in the back of my boat,
They're flails?
you know, they've been losing the rollers off the old ones, and the old ones. They kept going.
Probably need to put that in the budget. And, yes, sir. What do you have any idea what they cost?
No, no. Everything else.
Josh Cracker has completed the 90-day probationary period as of September 7th.
No, I should take it. All right, now.
Motion to advertise the workshop on September 21st, 2016.
Who's fired?
September 21st, 2016 at 6 p.m. for the purpose of discussing the proposed construction project for a new garage.
So moved.
Second.
Bus, did you have any discussion with, you or Ed, you know, had any discussions with the guy from Olympia Buildings?
Where?
From Olympia, the steel building guy.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I thought we were going to work for it.
Yeah, well, he's gonna come, he wants to talk to some people in advance of what they're looking for, and that way he said he would come, this guy would come with a CAD drawing, so we'd have something to start with. We'll get you his phone number and name. Okay.
Is it Jay Davis? I don't want to get you. Jay Davis?
His name is, Mark.
Okay.
You know,
I used to, well, Olympia's my client.
they're a good company?
Yeah,
Okay, they present a nice building.
yeah, they do a good
Yeah.
job.
Yes. Yeah. She called a roll, I guess.
Dave,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Zach.
Office report.
Danielle Baldwin, owner of the daycare center upstairs, has indicated they should like to use one of the two empty offices upstairs, one of which is I guess usable, and the other one is not usable. It's still in pretty bad shape. And I'd like to make a motion to approve adding the additional office to her lease at $100 per month. Yeah, that one complex.
I'll second.
Dave,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Zach.
Yes.
Along those lines, she has also indicated a desire to rent the soon to be vacated clothes closet upstairs. They're currently emptying that room out, and that room will have to have some repairs done, drywall, plaster, lighting, and heating, and so forth. It doesn't have heating, and the drywall is in very bad condition. So we'll have to come back with some prices on what's going to take to make that room usable. She is interested in adding that space as well. And we'll have to negotiate with her to a price. Next is a motion to approve the minimum municipal obligation for 2017, the uniform and non-uniform pension plans, for $5,340 for uniform and for $1,282 non-uniform. We'll make that as a motion.
Second.
Dave,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Mark Dubrinsky at 19 Ely Road, where his home has burned. He demolished the structure, filled in the lot. Our BCO, which is our building code officer, has looked at the site, has said the site meets his satisfaction, and we'd like to make a motion to approve the return of all escrow funds that belong to the landowner in this case. He's complied. I so move.
Second.
Dave,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes. New business will recess for 5 minutes to allow residents to bring forth matters which may require immediate board action. All 3 supervisors will be available.
David, before you recess,
For recess.
The recess meeting.
I've had my hand up ever since.
We don't do that anymore. We don't do.
Wait a minute, before you recess. You said that if it is not on the agenda,
Motion item, yes.
okay, and that I would have an opportunity to comment,
Right.
out of courtesy,
No, if it's
Okay.
an item brought up that's not on the agenda, you have an opportunity to address that.
Okay.
issue.
okay, hear me out then. I don't have a copy of the rules in front of me. Doesn't the rules state, I don't know how I could comment on something, my crystal ball's broke. So if you don't know what's going to be discussed, how could you have a legitimate
You can discuss
discussion?
any motion before it's voted on.
What's
It's
that?
not on the, any motion that's not on the agenda, that's law. The law says that.
Okay, but correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't have it in front of me, just what I heard. If you want something, if you want to be on the agenda, don't you have to state what it's about, what you're going to talk about, and all that stuff? Is there something like that?
There was 15 minutes allocated at the beginning of the meeting to discuss anything you wanted to talk about.
No, what I'm saying is in the rules, the new rules or something that you have to present what you're going to present or what you're going to talk about. There's nothing like that in it, language like that in
Yeah,
there?
you can be put on the agenda. It's not required.
Okay.
We're adjourned. We're
My comment would be, you said if it wasn't on the agenda, under report of solicitor, there's nothing there.
No,
It just says report of solicitor.
no action taken based on it.
I understand that, but you didn't say it specified that. I just simply was given Mr. Swift's courtesy to
That's what the law says.
address that, and he did not, comment on the things I addressed about it. I just want to know if you would research that, have your secretary research it, or check into it, and see, if that's the case or not. I assume you may in honor will adjust accordingly when you find out that to be true.
You just
If
repeated
you
yourself.
find out.
You said that initially.
Well, I know, but you did say you'd have your attorney, didn't address any of the things I brought up, so I was just wondering if you would.
We'll recess for 5 minutes. If anybody has anything, yeah, you can, if anybody has anything on bring up any of it individually, we can do this individually.
What the date is on that letter.
They get through with you? Okay, we'll have to get them. Did he come? Oh, really? Not yet? Not yet? Yeah, it is.
Hey, Dave. Another question I have in the open. What, Dave?
What this for, Judy?
What was the
What's
date
that?
of the date of the letter from our office? It was
I handed it down.
February 8, 2012.
February 8th, yeah, 8th, that's correct, February 8th.
February 8, okay.
Question or I am, I can do it from here. I like to do it in public, not in secrecy. So. Okay, I'd like to make a suggestion. This is an open public meeting. It says, when you find out what it is, it's for you. I just choose to do things in public in an open, transparent manner instead of secret. All I wanted, when I was holding my hand up, all I wanted to suggest was that the township look into investing in a cordless microphone. And maybe spend some taxpayers' money to purchase a cordless microphone so you can pass it down the table, or to the audience so you don't have to speak. Thought that's money well spent. That's why I had my hand up. Would that be easier? Huh? Why don't we use them?
They don't work. This works better. That'd be a perfect
And Mr. Sweat, I will address you. I'm sorry, I choose to do things locally, not whatever. I'm here to give you the opportunity to address that, you know, out of respect. And give you the opportunity to review it, check it, and see.
A couple of issues here. One, what Amanda brought up during the private discussion section, I guess, in the individual discussion section. There was an issue brought up in regards to the machine gun range, particularly on this past Sunday morning on September 11th during the church hour. The machine guns, I guess, over the last few days, at least during that time period, were very, very loud. For some reason, when the wind blows it right away, I don't know what the decibel level is, but it is, if you're in the line of it, it's pretty loud. Is there anything that any